Hey friends, it is Monique Scrip. Welcome back to my channel. If you have not already liked and subscribed, please go ahead and do that. My hope for every single video is that it will leave you encouraged and it will help you to go and to sit in the presence of the Lord, to spend time with Him and to hear His voice in your life. So today we're going to be talking about Daniel chapter 3, and it's the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and how they were in the fiery furnace and they did not get burned. And through that story, what I hope that you get from it is the fact that God goes before you and He prepares a table in the presence of your enemies. And He is the one who will provide. He is the one who will take care of things. He is the one who will fight for you. So we're going to kind of unpack this story. And so I want you to also think about your own confidence in the Lord. So somebody who is confident, they are not confident in themselves. Like, it's not yourself that you find confidence in. It is confidence in the Lord, and it is confidence in trusting that He is who He says He is, trusting that He is going to do the things that He says He's going to do, trusting His character and His heart, and knowing that you don't have to be the one to take care of things. You can trust the Lord. Okay, so the character of God, if you understand the character of God, and this is one of the reasons why I encourage you, every single video, I encourage you to be in the Word, to spend time in His presence, because when you spend time with someone, just like with a person, with a friend, like if you spend time with someone, you will know and you will understand their character. When you spend time in the Word, when you read story after story of the Lord's faithfulness, when you pray for something and you see the Lord answer, you have confidence in the Lord, not in yourself, not in anything that you could have done, but trusting and believing that He is the one who will carry you through. And that is what happened with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They trusted in the Lord. Okay, so there is a passage I talk about a lot, and it's Isaiah 26, and it says, "You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you." You can be going through something difficult, you can be walking through the fire, and you keep your peace because your mind is on him. He will keep you in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. That's Isaiah 26, verse 4. Okay. So when you have unshakable confidence, you don't worry about those who oppose you, those who talk about you. Because here's the reality is there are going to be people who are sent on assignment from the enemy to distract you, to bring you down, to discourage you, to steal your joy. And so if you allow that to happen, if you allow that to win, it keeps you from being in that perfect peace and being obedient to the things that the Lord has called you to do. Okay. So in Exodus 14, it talks about, let me actually turn to that real quick. Exodus 14, verses 13 through 14. Okay, so in Exodus 14, this is the crossing of the Red Sea. Okay, this is where the Israelites had come to this place where they were being chased by the Egyptians. And they came to this place where they were like, okay, the water is here, and what are we supposed to do? Like, the sea is here, what are we supposed to do? And the Lord went before them and He parted the Red Sea. Okay. So Exodus 14, starting in verse 13, Moses said to the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which He will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians who you see today, you shall see again no more forever. The Lord will fight for you. You shall only hold your peace." And other versions say, "The Lord will fight for you. You only need to be still." So this is a word for you. There are things that are coming up against you, and in your flesh, you want to fight. In your flesh, you want to defend yourself. In your flesh, you want to resolve the issue. But what God is saying here is He has the capacity. When something is impossible, He has the capacity to fight for you. You need only to be still. Okay, so in Daniel, okay, I'm going to turn to Daniel chapter 3. So the story of Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego is in Daniel chapter 3. And we're going to kind of unpack this. There's some observations that I made through this story, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to take these observations and think about how they apply in your own life. What can you take away from this story? Okay, so in Daniel chapter 3, if you do not know the story, what happened is King Nebuchadnezzar had created this golden image. And he told people, hey, you're going to worship this image. When you hear music playing, everybody needs to stop what they're doing and go worship this image. Okay, which sounds very funny in 2026 because we don't do things like this. But this can be, something else that you would worship, something else that would take you from the Lord being your number one worship, the thing that you worship, right? The one who you worship, okay? So in Daniel chapter 3, the first thing that happens is King Nebuchadnezzar, okay, issues a decree that everyone must worship the golden image, okay? Then the second thing that happens is the Chaldeans, and we can just view the Chaldeans as enemies, right? The enemy went to King Nebuchadnezzar and he said, hey, you issued this decree, but I noticed that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they're not obeying. Like, they're not listening to your decree. Okay, so he kind of tells on them, right? There are going to be people in your life who are the accuser of the brethren, right? If you think about what the enemy's identity is, Satan's identity, it talks about how he is the accuser of the brethren, and he accuses us before the Father day and night. Jesus is our advocate. Like, there is spiritual warfare that is going on, and Satan is trying to accuse, hey, she did this, he did that, he's not worthy, he can't be forgiven, she can't be forgiven, right? The accuser of the brethren, you're never going to be able to do that. You're not capable. The accuser of the brethren that comes before you day and night. But Jesus is your advocate. And so you have to recognize the accuser is going to accuse, like he's going to do the thing that he says he's going to do, the accuser of the brethren. So you're going to have somebody, you're going to have people, you're going to have situations that are coming up against you to accuse, to get you distracted from the thing, from the very thing. Okay, so in in Daniel chapter 3, starting in verse 15. Okay, so let me go back. Verse 12 is where the Chaldeans tell on them. He says, there are certain Jews who you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men have not paid their dues regarding you. They do not serve your gods or worship the golden image. Okay, so this is him telling on them. Then in verse 15, okay, the next thing that happens is intimidation. So this is probably going to happen to you. When you have somebody who's coming up against you, they're not going to just easily be like, oh, okay, well, let me just sorry, shouldn't have said that, shouldn't have done that. No, there's going to be intimidations. It's going to escalate. So in verse 15, it says, now if you are ready at the time, okay, so he's talking to, okay, it says, let me back up to verse 14. Nebuchadnezzar spoke to them saying, is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my God or worship the golden image? Verse 15, if you are ready at the time of the sound of the horn, okay, and you fall down and worship the image which I have made, good. But if you do not worship, you shall be cast immediately into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you from my hands? So intimidation. King Nebuchadnezzar intimidates them. He says, hey, if you do not do this thing that I'm telling you to do, here's what's going to happen. Okay, so that's one of the strategies of the enemy. He's going to intimidate. He's not going to relent. He's going to intimidate. It's going to escalate. It's going to get worse. Okay, then in verse 16, they respond. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. Okay, so here's the reality, is some things don't even need a response. Some things you don't even need to say anything. Because the Lord is going to deliver you. The Lord is going to fight for you. The Lord is going to defend you. And sometimes when you respond, you respond out of your flesh. And it's not how the Lord wants you to respond. So in verse 17, it says, if that is the case, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us from your hand, O king. But if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve your gods, nor will we worship the gold image which you have set up. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego say, hey, we're not going to do this. We know that our God is going to deliver us, but even if he doesn't, we will not relent. So you have to recognize that when you are in the fire, when you are under that pressure, it is going to be so difficult and so hard, but that's the point, right? The enemy's trying to get you off track. but you have to hold your ground and not relent. All right, so then verse 19, it says, that Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury, and the expression on his face changed toward Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and he had them heat the fire 7 times, okay, than what it normally was. Then it said down in verse 22, therefore, because the king's command was urgent, the furnace was exceedingly hot. The flames of the fire killed the men who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, okay? So these men were sent to take them into the fiery furnace, and the men who were bringing them, they were the ones that were killed. Sometimes, if people are enemies of the Lord, like they are going to be, like there's going to be collateral damage, right? Like they're going to be affected. And so that's part of letting the Lord do what he is going to do. Okay, verse 23, and these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the fiery furnace. Then King Nebuchadnezzar was astonished. He rose in haste and spoke, saying to his counselors, did we not cast 3 men into the fire? They answered and said to them, look, he said, I see 4 men loose. Okay, this is verse 25. I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they are not hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. Is this not amazing? I think this is one of the most incredible things about the word, is there is so much, because this is a story in the Old Testament. There's so much that shows Jesus and the presence of Jesus in the Old Testament before he came in the flesh. And this is one of those stories. He said the 4th is like the Son of God. So when you are in the fiery furnace, when you are in the pressure, when you are in the heat, when things are so challenging and so hard, Jesus shows up in the fire. He didn't go and just remove them out. He came into the fire. He was with them. Jesus is with you in your trials, in your hardships. He is with you. Verse 26, and then Nebuchadnezzar went near the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and he spoke, saying, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out and come here. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came from the midst of the fire, and the satraps, administrators, governors, and king counselors gathered together. They saw that these men whose bodies, they saw on these men whose bodies the fire had no power. Okay, verse 27, the fire had no power. You may be walking through a fire, and you have to recognize that if you have the Spirit of the Lord inside of you, the fire has no power. The fire has no power. The trial, the hardship does not faze you because the Lord is with you. The hair of their head was not singed, nor were their garments affected. The smell of fire was not on them. You will not even smell like smoke. Right? If you allow the Lord to do your fighting, if you allow him to be the one to be in that fire with you, you will not smell like smoke. Verse 28, Nebuchadnezzar spoke, saying, blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who sent his angel and delivered his servants who trusted in him. And they have frustrated the king's word and yielded their bodies, and they should not serve or worship any other God except for their own. So the person who was their enemy, the person who said, I am going to heat up this fire 7 times hotter, is now the one that says, tell me about your God. We are going to worship your God. We're not going to worship this other God. We're going to worship your God. Verse 29, this is King Nebuchadnezzar speaking. Therefore I make a decree that any people, nation, or language which speaks anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut off in pieces, and their houses be made as an ash heap, because there is no other God who can deliver like this. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Okay, so here's what I want you to take away is there are 5 things that happened throughout the story that most likely will happen if you are going through trials. Okay, the first one is threats. They were threatened. The second one was intimidation. Okay, King Nebuchadnezzar intimidated them and said, all right, I'm going to turn it up. The third thing is that they were put through the fire. The fourth is that they were delivered. And the fifth is that they were promoted. Okay, so this is going to happen to you if you're not already in a difficult situation. Threats, intimidation, you're going to be put through the fire. But if you hold your ground, you will be delivered and you will be promoted. Okay? It talks about in Psalms about how the Lord will prepare a table in the presence of your enemies. Hold your ground, keep your eyes focused on Him, and He is going to go before you to the point where someone looks at your situation and they're like, man, the way that she went through that fire, I watched a fourth man in that fire with her. I watched her be delivered, and I need to know who is the God that she serves. Okay, so no matter how difficult your trials are, hold your ground, keep your eyes on the Lord, like that verse we talked about in Isaiah chapter 26. You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. Okay, as you are going through the fire, keep your eyes on the Lord. He will strengthen you, he will help you, he will deliver you, and you will come out and you will not even smell like smoke. Okay, so I hope that this blesses you. I hope that this encourages you to take time each day to be in the Word of God. There's so many, just like we literally just read one chapter, and there's so many things that the Lord will teach you through His Word. And so I want to encourage you every single day to spend time in His presence, in His Word, listening to the voice of the Holy Spirit. And I hope that this is a blessing to you. You have a wonderful day.